Hello everybody, welcome back to yet another video. So what are we talking about today? Because it's going to be a bit of a talking head video because, you know, I've sort of been struggling to film lately because my brothers are still down. Don't worry, they'll be gone soon enough and, you know, content will return to normal. But what are we talking about today? Today we're talking about cross-platform exclusivity, or at least my thoughts on it. So, cross-platform exclusivity, what is it? Well, essentially, when any new console comes out, you may notice that they've got games that say only on that console, you know, only on Xbox, only on PlayStation. Now, all cross-platform exclusivity is mean that it will only be on that console and nothing else ever. Well, not necessarily ever, but nothing else for a very, very, very long time. You can also have timed exclusivity as well, which is where you only get something on a certain console, and then usually like a year afterwards, it'll come out on the rest. Which is all in all a bit of a kind of move from a lot of developers. But getting on to what I actually think about. Now, really, it depends on what kind of a person you are. Now, there is a lot of different types of, you know, exclusivity. But honestly, I'm not a big fan. Like, I get why they do it. It does help, you know, sales of a certain console. If you say that you put all your stuff everywhere, then, well, in that case, your console isn't going to sell as much because obviously they can get it wherever they want. They don't have to play on your console, but they can if they choose. I personally think that that's the way that it should be. You know, you should be able to choose what you want to play on. You should choose to play with what you're comfortable with rather than what you're forced to play with, because the developer says that, oh hey, we agree with the console manufacturer, so we're going to just take the money and sit there. And that's usually what it comes down to. Exclusivity deals, and where, you know, an actual game publisher or that lot will receive a fairly substantial amount of money for only letting it come out on a certain console, either timed or exclusive, full stop. You know, famous ones would be stuff like Ratchet and Clank, Mario, stuff like that. Those are generally major console exclusives and aren't really appearing on any other consoles. Although a lot of the Xbox IPs, so stuff like Halo and that lot, that's no longer just an Xbox exclusive, it's more of a Xbox exclusive, it's more of a Microsoft exclusive. So if you go ahead and buy it on Steam, let's say the Master Chief Collection, you can play Halo on Steam, or you can play it on your console. You do have to buy it separately though, you buy it on Steam as far as I'm aware. But you know, you basically own it both ways. However, you can't play it on something like PlayStation. It's only you're able to play it on Microsoft products, so something like Windows PC. You might be able to play it on Linux. I'm not sure if you can. I don't think you'd be able to, but you might be able to. Don't quote me on that. But essentially, anything that's Microsoft, so that's, you know, sort of exclusivity there. And it's still a bit unfair that you can't play it on whatever console you want, but I understand why, because, you know, you've got to have some sort of brand recognition. Having a character behind your brand makes you look good, and that's sort of where consumers might go, oh, I want to go for them because they've got, you know, they've got Master Chief. Master Chief's cool. I like Master Chief. Versus, oh, well, they've all got it. I'll just go with whichever one I'm more comfortable with. I can understand the point of, you know, obviously, companies need to make money, but it seems like a bit of a bad move. And there is, main reason for this is looking at PS5 lately, because of course PS5 has brought out a ton of exclusives, and I do mean a ton, and that's not just mentioning the usual folk like Ratchet and Clank, which I kind of do want to get a PS5 for, to be honest. But you get my point. There's a lot of it going around. It's varied on what it means, it's a bit varied in how it works, and sometimes it can be unfair. For example, I think the most recent one was a Marvel's Avenger game, where apparently you will only be able to play as Spider-Man if you get it on PlayStation. You can't play Spider-Man on Xbox, you can't play Spider-Man on PC. That's one of those things where it's like, why are you doing that? If you're going to go ahead and say that you're going to let people play on whatever console they choose, but then gimp certain people from being able to play their favourite characters, why would you do that? It's just an evil move all round, especially with stuff like timed exclusivity, where you might say, oh yeah, you can play all the DLC, you know, a year before the other consoles, which is kind of unfair. There's a lot of games, after a year, they sort of lose most of their player base, which means by the time it comes out on the opposing console, people won't be playing it, you know? But then you do have issues if you go all the way the other way, with, you know, complete cross-platform, non-exclusive, you know, stuff such as first-person shooters. They still got some ground to go before they're properly sorted on how they should really be performed when they're completely 100% cross-platform. Because if you play on a controller, you are going to be at a disadvantage to someone that's on, you know, a mouse and keyboard, unless you have got some sort of aim assist to help you out, and then that's sort of where issues come in. The fact that you're giving assists to some people to even out. I remember seeing a while ago, somebody saying, why don't they just do matchmaking for, certain people with what peripherals they use? If they're using a controller, put them in one group. If they're using keyboard and mouse, put them in another. That does make sense to me, but then you've got the issue of you're sort of trying to segregate a combined player base. It's like, I don't know, the whole thing's a bit of a mess and how it's going to work out in the long term, but you see there's issues there. Yeah, you've got issues on making it 100% cross-platform, being able to play with your mates regardless of what they play on. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that's personally the way to go, make sure that, gamers can play together. It doesn't matter if you play on Xbox because you can only afford an Xbox, or if you play on PC because, you've got a several $1,000 PC. It doesn't matter what you'll be able to afford, doesn't matter what console you play on, it just matters of, hey, have you got the game? Sure. Have you got the game? Sure. Do you want to play together? Oh no, on PC. Oh, it doesn't matter because it's cross-platform, and that's where I think it really should be going, rather than locking stuff down with exclusives. Like, I know exclusives help sell stuff. They do make differences in the long term, and they can tempt a buyer into getting PlayStation, an Xbox, or even a PC because they just want to play this one game that they love. But there is a lot of just, do you really want to go down that route? In the factor of, do I really want to get a console that I'm honestly not too fond of just to play one game? Because, like me personally, I'm not really too fond of PlayStation, but I do want to play Ratchet & Clank, and that's sort of where the issue is. This isn't me going on about this because I'm annoyed with developers. It's like, I really want to do this, I really want to do this, I really want to do this. It's actually more of me just being like, it's kind of unfair. You want to play on one game, and you only want to play that one specific game, you got to pick a console for it, rather than being able to play it wherever you prefer to play. And it's a bit of an awkward one. I mean, there are ways around it, and there are benefits to each way, but personally I think everybody should be able to play on whatever they want, whenever they want. But ultimately it comes down to you and what you decide, because obviously it's down to how you play. But it is kind of interesting the way they're now getting past the days where you have to speak with your group of mates or whatever and say, alright, what are we doing? Are we getting an Xbox or are we going PlayStation? Instead it's just like, okay, what games are we playing? And that's it. That's what would be ideal. It shouldn't matter what you want, doesn't matter what your friends want to play, doesn't matter what game you want to play. It should just matter, how do you want to play it? If you want to play it on an Xbox, play it on an Xbox. Do you prefer a PlayStation controller? Play it on PlayStation. Do you want to use a keyboard and mouse? Play it on PC. Or if you want to use ridiculously advanced peripherals and that lot, play it on PC too. It's just a thing that's kind of it's a low kick when there's a cross-platform, when there is a platform exclusive. So that's what I really want to talk about today. But, typical talking head video. I don't do too many of these because I don't really enjoy doing too many of these. But for the time being, this is what's going to be going on. But anyway, that's where I'm going to go ahead and cut the video. So, I like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. Any thoughts or questions, leave them in the form of the comments down below. Don't forget to check out my Discord, Patreon, Twitch and Facebook page, all of which you can find down in the description down below. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell for more content from me. As always, this is the 117th Con, signing off. Stay safe out there, folks, and I will catch you all in the next one. Until then, ta-ra.